bastard. Pretty sure that's Teletubby meme, innit? Where Indian chap comes up in the sun. Have I got that right? Saturday morning, 4 minutes past 7. The day before, I run Leeds Marathn, so today me and Maxie have got to go pick up my... We've got to go pick up my race number from Leeds City Centre because in true me fashion, I didn't enter. I've been knowing I knew I were doing this months ago, but I didn't enter until a few weeks ago. Too close for them to send race number out, so we've got to go into Leeds City Centre to pick my race number up. Just make me and Jem second cup of coffee at morning. That brown sugar in mine, it's Jem's. Don't like sugar in my coffee. It's like my coffee black. Current morning vibe is, I was just about to say 15 grams of creatine because that's usually where I feel like my noggin works best. I used to take creatine purely to try and add something to these guys. But more recently, with the sort of like the building potential noggin improvements coming from creatine, whether that's like working memory on a day-to-day basis or like the longer term, hopefully like anti-degenerative effect it can have on brains. Taking a little bit more has seemed to help. However, I've not bought any for it like for about 4 weeks. Run out of it again as per. It's one of those things that sometimes if I've got a lot going on, I don't end up doing some basics. I'll lift, I'll sort my food, but supplements become one thing that I let slip. Let it slip. I've got this Cymix branded one. Fucking hell, last few days that I've been taking it, I've jumped straight in at 15 grams. Last few days that I've been taking it, there's been points across my day where my belly's just felt, not even like I need a big shite, I'm gonna say it like that, but my belly's felt like I couldn't eat another thing for days. And then it wears off. It's all I can put it down to is creatine, so I brought it down to 10 grams today, 2 scoops, that's what you saw. Whereas like 5 grams a day is probably what we'd be looking to take for these guys. I've seen a lot of people talk about taking up to 20 grams a day for this thing. I found that there's not been much difference between 15 and 20, but there has been a difference between 10 and 15. So 15 is where I've sat and decided to settle. Weighed in at like 193.4 pounds this morning, which is the most I've weighed in. I actually weigh more now than I did before photo shoot prep started, but I'm very content with body composition at this weight. That being said, I get half marathon out of way tomorrow, go into a Minicut for about 3 to 4 weeks. The aim's to bring about like £10 off, just sharpen up a touch, show off some gains that have been made since shoot in November, and then bring calories back up. I think then I probably come into summer leaner, primed to grow a little bit more, and probably not having a diet until, again, another Minicut until about Christmas or maybe January. Thank you. Lovely, cheers. Jogging bottoms are on, comfies, and yeah, half marathon number has been acquired. What a great number, 3:03:47. Pretty certain I'm in slow category here, slowish category. I'm not sure, you know. You're not going to talk about a protein bar as like the main chunk of this YouTube, are you, Paul? How the fuck are you managing that? Well, I am. It's the protein snack trap.
Right, so we're going to talk about this protein mistake, and I bet you're all making it. If not all making it, you will have made it at some point in time, and you'll go, do you know what, that were me. And if you're currently making it, it's probably going to turn around your capacity to get enough protein in for less calories so that you have a nicer time nailing your diet and building muscle and shit like that, right? Seeing this beast. Stay still. Protein flapjack bar, right? 15 grams of protein, chocolate flavoured coatings, and I bet if you're anything like me, you go down to supermarkets and you see stuff like this and you go, ooh, that looks tasty. I'm going to give it a whirl. And if you're anything like old me, you'll go, sound? That's pretty much all protein. I'm done. I don't need much more here. I'm sorted. I've eaten enough protein. Incorrect. You're well away from how much protein you actually need to consume. So if we're talking about muscle building, if we're talking about maintaining muscle in a fat loss phase, which is the likely goal for most of us when we come to dieting, we want to be taking on about 1 gram of protein per pound of what we weigh, or maybe if we're like significantly overweight, per pound of our destination weight. So let's say that you weigh 280 pounds and we're going to try and get you to 200 pounds. A really good rule of thumb would be maybe to aim for that 200 pound. I'd also say that if you're a little bit newer to tracking your protein and you're having a hard time of getting 1 gram of protein in per pound, it's probably going to be better to aim for like 0.6 initially. And then over like a 4 to 8 week period, taking on board shit that I'm telling you right now, put those habits into play and build it up to 1 gram, and then you're probably going to be like, that were easy. So you know that you need to eat a little bit more protein if you want to look how you want to look, and you see your protein bar, you get it, you eat it, it's fine, you crack on, and then within a few weeks you're thinking, man, I'm fucking putting weight on here. I'm not even losing it. And then you track your food and you go, actually, I'm going to track my protein flapjack. And what you see is, because you've not looked on back at packet, because you've just seen 15 grams of protein and everyone on Instagram saying, eat more protein, you look on back at packet, you've scanned it and you think, shit, for the 15 grams of protein that it actually give me, and this is what I did the other day, for the 15 grams of protein I get, it actually costs me 475 calories. And that is the equivalent of a meal of, let's say, some fajita chicken, some potatoes, a little sprinkling of cheese on top, and a load of salad. Now, from a fat loss perspective, we want to be mainly eating as much food in our belly for one meal as possible. We could either, example, be consuming shit like this for 15 grams of protein for nearly 500 calories, or for that same amount of calories, example being, we could be filling up a bowl like this, which had my tuna pasta in it this morning. But the difference is that for that bowl of tuna pasta, I've got myself 40 grams of protein rather than 15 grams of protein. There's a massive disconnect there in protein needs and calories, and if you are dieting, how satisfied you're going to be. You want to start to base your day around meats, eggs, fish, whey protein, yogurts, as opposed to protein-based snacks. But before you think about any snacks, before you think about building a whole meal out, you want to look at every meal as an opportunity to get a good quality, if you eat animal sources, animal source of protein, or you're going to have to be a little bit more dialed in with it if you are plant-based. But again, you have to centre it around something like tofu, tempeh, a vegan protein-sourced supplement, right? That has to become backbone of your day. Can't go for the easy options that just say they've got protein on it. If you're going for protein bagels, protein flapjacks, protein bars, most of them are going to give you 15 to 20 grams of protein for 200 to 500 calories. So to cut a long story short, you can't be winging your protein choices first and foremost. You also probably need to get a lot better at just doing a little bit of planning ahead. Think about layering your protein into MyFitnessPal or whatever tracker you use first, before you then add your potatoes, your pastas, your bagels, your other foods. Again, not off limits, but your other foods that will fill your calories up. It's vital that you get that protein target nailed on for as few calories as possible, so you then have extra food and extra calories to play around with. Everybody fucking wins then, don't we? I mean, I don't win if you get lean. I suppose I do, because you've watched this, and hopefully that's the kind of tip that's going to make you go, yes, I will change that this week. I will prioritise meats and eggs and dairy and fish and I'm going to have them at 3 to 4 meals at 30 to 50 grams of protein. And I'm going to limit my little protein snacks. I'll tell you what, actually, let me come at you with an actual protein snack that I think is mildly helpful. Shit like this. Right, these, my protein salted caramel mousse. I actually finish my day with one of these at minute. My protein salted caramel mousse, 21 grams of protein for 170 calories. It's not a bad economy. The protein yogurts aren't that bad either. You're welcome. If you thought that were helpful, make sure you popped a like on this and let me know if you've done any of what I mentioned. Ready? Ow, ow, ow. Ow! Why are you trying to hurt me, you melon?
I'm trying.
Yeah, you are. You went a little bit softer and then you walloped me. Yeah, you doiling. Proper nice though. Yeah, let's go in office. Hang on. Right, we've got shorts, tea. Honestly, these are like horrendous tasting carbs. I actually had them training for a marathon a couple of years ago and they made me gip, but it were all they had. It serves me right for leaving it till last minute. I suppose I don't learn, but that being said, I'll always prioritise important stuff like actually training for it and eating well. 10 to 8, night before Leeds Half Marathn, 2026. We'll go for an early night. It's not 10 to 8, it's 10 to 9. We'll go meditate in bed because I'm trying to get into that to help me focus a little bit better in day-to-day life. But then I'm going to have to get up at about 6 to get food in me, showered, ready, out at door. I'm off to Ellen Road for park and ride. So, yeah, man, thanks for watching. Next time, I'll give you an update and let you know how I've been.